All right, so I promised you a nutrition video, how I changed my diet around, and also how I lived with sciatica for 2 years. This video is going to be on nutrition, how I changed my diet around. So let's just start off. I went vegetarian when I was 14. When I was 18, I went vegan, and I was mainly focused on what I could eat as being a vegan. I was trying to find different foods that I wasn't really concerned about my health. I was just concerned about finding things that are vegan that taste good. So for many years, I had a philosophy whereas if something was vegan and it tasted good, I would eat it. 3 years ago, when I started working out and everything, I kind of changed that whole mentality around. If it was vegan, if it tasted good, and it was good for me, then I would eat it. Because let's face it, you can be vegan and be completely unhealthy. You could be a junk food vegan and live off potato chips, French fries, and cookies. 3 years ago, when I started working out, I also changed my whole routine of how I ate. Prior to that, my job consists of a lot of driving, more so then than now. And I was never a morning person. I just didn't feel right in the morning. I'm more of a night person. So I would get up and I would not be hungry. So I would skip breakfast completely. I would drive to work, and work would be wherever I had to go for an appointment. There was no location specifically that I had to go to every day. It was all over the place. And the job was something that as soon as I was done doing it, I was done. There was no lunch breaks or everything because I wanted to get done as soon as possible and get back home. The entire day I'd be out there driving around, doing what I had to do. I wouldn't stop for lunch. I wouldn't take any snacks. And then I would come home and I'd be starving. So I would make more than I could eat. I'd stuff myself. I'd be so full, and then I wouldn't be hungry the rest of the night. That's kind of how my routine went for a little while. When I changed this 3 years ago, I decided that I'm going to eat breakfast every morning. And my breakfast, because still to this day, I'm not really hungry when I wake up, and I can't really put down food. I'm not hungry. So what I do is I make a smoothie, and I can seem to drink a smoothie. So I'll have frozen bananas, rice milk or almond milk, and a few other things in there. Sometimes I put cinnamon and cacao and flax seeds, hemp seeds, whatever. And sometimes I use protein powders. However, I don't feel that you need to have protein powder. If you're just eating food, you're getting that protein. However, some of these protein powders make it taste really good, and they also have other things in it that are, complete vitamins and minerals that you might be lacking, B12s, those kind of things. So I always put like half a scoop in there. I never do the recommended 2 scoops. It gets expensive that way anyway. I just put half a scoop in there. It does the job. So I have a smoothie in the morning, a big smoothie, and that'll hold me off for a few hours. And then later on, I'll snack on a few things. What I never do anymore, I never overeat. I used to always overeat. I make sure not to overeat. So when I come home and I make a dinner, I make a reasonable dinner. I'll give myself a nice portion, but I won't overdo it. But your brain doesn't really tell you you're full until 15, 20 minutes later, so you can definitely overeat. When I first changed the diet 3 years ago, I went all raw vegan. For 3 months, I was raw vegan. I'd say 99.9% raw vegan. I did have one cheat food because I would start craving. So what I would do, after eating all this delicious, nutritious, raw vegan food, I would have, my cheat food would be 1 teaspoon of chocolate almond butter. And I would take one teaspoon of it, and then I would just walk away, leave the kitchen, and I'd be satisfied. It held me over. It did the job. But then I learned that being raw vegan is great, but it's not for everybody. Sometimes it gets a little difficult to prepare meals and all that. I found a balance between my workouts and between what I was eating. I kind of gauged my own body and what I could eat and what I couldn't eat to maintain where I was happy. So that brought me to cooking food again. And what I did, I continued to eat all whole foods, and I cut completely processed foods out of my diet. And that seemed to do the trick. So some cooked foods, some raw foods, and that's how I maintained it for a good couple of years. And now I still eat like that, although every once in a while I will have some processed foods when I go out and I go to different events and places like that. When I meet up with friends, we might go to restaurants and stuff, and I'll make exceptions because I know I can. I know that I'm just going to eat healthier the rest of the week and continue my workout. I do feel better eating an all whole food, organic when you can, diet. It makes me feel good. Now I know some people say organic, non-organic, there's scientific debates on this or that. There's no real long-term effects on it. I mean, they didn't even have the GMO and whatever when I was a kid. It came about in the early 90s. I would say for me, I like to go by the scientific facts. However, I'd rather eat something that's organic than eating something that they say is just as safe. However, the farmers need to dress up in hazmat suits when they spray the pesticides on these plants. I'm sorry. Maybe they are safe, but I'm not going to eat something like that. I don't want to put something like that in my body. Something where somebody can't even touch the pesticides that they're using. I don't want anything to do with that. I'm going to stick with my organic when I can, whole foods diet. And that's basically how I change my diet around and how I feel great about it. And yeah, I love chocolate. So, I will eat some chocolates and some processed foods, but for the most part, I used to eat so much candy, and I'd have gobstoppers and jawbreakers, all that stuff. And I'd eat that every day, and I took all of that out of my diet. After doing this for a while, I found my balance, and I know my limits. I know what I can do and what I can't do. I mean, technically I can do whatever I want, but what I choose to do and what I don't choose to do. And basically that's what I do in a day. I make a lot of salads, or at least I did when I was on the raw vegan kick, but I made a lot of salads, and I was never one that salad would fill me up. So I would these would be like really badass salads. I would put, different kind of, nuts and sunflower seeds and hemp seeds and avocado and all kinds of things in it. Make my own dressing, and it really hit the spot. It really satisfied me. It stopped my hunger. When you make a nice green juice and you drink it, you feel that goodness going through your body. Now, when you eat something greasy, like greasy French fries, and you eat like a whole thing of them, you feel that going through your body and through your skin, and it's like the complete opposite. So when you're eating good, you're feeling good. When you're eating crappy, you're feeling crappy. That's basically how I change my diet around. You can watch on my vlog channel what I eat in a day. I try to put some of the things that I eat, and I try to make foods with all whole ingredients, whether I'm cooking them or not. I try to mix them up, and I like to buy a lot of my produce at farmers market where it's nice and cheap. I'm not a nutritionist. I'm just telling you what I did the last 3 years, and I feel great with it. So I'm just sharing that information with you. Hopefully I help some of you guys out. Hopefully a lot of you guys are already eating this way. If you're not, check it out, try it out, and just be aware of what you're eating. Know what you're eating. Know where your food's coming from, and know what you're putting in your body, because it's the only body you have. That's all I really have to say about this video. Stay tuned for my how I dealt with sciatica video, my back problems. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, survive, and I'll see you guys in the next one.